If you visit, you may not be alone.
Is a tale that has been passed down for generations.
I think everybody thinks about it when they're driving by.
If you go there at night now, you could possibly see the Goatman.
Glowing red eyes, the smell of sulfur, smell of death, hoofbeats and stomping around in the woods.
Your mind will play tricks on you. You'll swear you hear something or you swear you just saw something.
In today's video, we talk about what's said to be an urban legend called the Goatman of Prince George's County. Now, there are so many variations on the story of the Prince George's County Goatman that it is nearly impossible to keep them straight. For some, he is but a lonely, angry goat herder who went crazy after finding his beloved goats dead due to teens tampering. In perhaps the most bizarre tale of them all, the Goatman is the result of an experiment gone wrong at the Beltsville Research Agricultural Center. A doctor named Stephen Fletcher confessed to creating it with the DNA of a goat and his assistant. Two names clearly associated with the location of Goatman sightings on Fletchertown and Lotsford Roads. The USDA facility has actually been forced to deny that theory. The research center shot down this version in 2013, noting it had been years since they even had goats at the facility. That at least is one of the theories of the origin of the Goatman of Prince George's County. To others, he's in the same family as Bigfoot, a mythical beast that roams the earth, a legendary monster that has attracted international attention over the years. The Goatman also has other origin stories. It's said that the Goatman terrorizes lovers, chases teens, and decapitates dogs. He yells, squeals, and yes, makes goat noises. He's made reported appearances all across the region. He has inspired fear and fascination for decades. But according to historian and author Mark Opsasnick, the foremost expert on the Maryland legend, there is an official Goatman origin story, and it begins on Fletchertown Road in Bowie. The first media mention of the Goatman came on October 27th in 1971 in the Bowie-based Prince George's County News. In the article, writer Karen Hostler took a deep dive into the University of Maryland folklore archives. She mentions the Goatman along with the ghosts and something called the Bowman that also haunt the woods around Fletchertown Road. The Goatman territory ranges from Beltsville to Bowie, Mitchellville, and Upper Marlboro, with the stories circulating from the 1950s to the 1760s, the heyday of suburban teenage folklore. One key moment came in 1971 on October 27, when the Bowie-based Prince George's County News published an article about the University of Maryland folklore archives, which mentioned the Goatman and other local legends. 2 weeks later, the same reporter published a follow-up titled, "Residents Fear Goatman Lives, Dog Found Decapitated in Old Bowie," about a family that believed the Goatman was responsible for the death of their puppy Ginger. The article connected the deceased dog with the Goatman, saying that a group of teenage girls had heard strange noises and seen a large creature on the night the dog had disappeared. It also reported that sightings of an animal-like creature that walks on its hind legs were increasing along Fletchertown Road. On November 30th, the Goatman got its first introduction to a larger audience, thanks to the Washington Post. An article headlined, "A Legendary Figure Haunts Remote Prince George's Woods," identifies the young man who found Ginger. The Prince George's County Police are also quoted in the piece, saying that the legend just gets passed on from generation to generation, and that they've been receiving more recent calls about Goatman sightings. Mark Opsasnick grew up mere miles from Bowie in Greenbelt, and remembers very clearly the first time he heard the Goatman legend. He was in 7th grade and in the back seat of his friend's older brother's car. He would get rides, and when they would act up in the back seat, the brother would tell them to be quiet or they'll dump them off at Fletchertown Road. and the Goatman will get them. Mark then began to grow a love for the story of the Goatman. While attending Roosevelt High School, Mark and his friends would go Goatman hunting. In fact, searching for the monster had become a local teen obsession. Mark describes Goatman parties on Fletchertown Road and nearby Crybaby Bridge on Lotsford Road. Mark would say Halloween night in 1979 was one of the craziest nights of his life. Dr. Barry Pearson is a professor of folklore in the English department at the University of Maryland and was in charge of the aforementioned University of Maryland Folklore Archives. Even today, he says if I mention the Goatman on the first day of class, all the locals know exactly what I'm talking about. Pearson thinks the legend of the Goatman was influenced by car culture in the 60s and 70s, which gave teens the freedom to discover the world around them. It might also be tied to what students were learning about Greek culture and the half-man, half-goat god Pan in school. Certainly, the newspaper accounts helped. Pearson would go on to say, goats are known to be smelly and something kind of charming, but if you look at them closely, especially in their eyes, they are really scary in their own way. In 1987, Mark started writing for Strange magazine and wasted no time getting to the Goatman. In 1994, he wrote what he thinks was the first thoroughly researched piece about the legend, titled On the Trail of the Goatman. He tracked down the Edwards family and the men who found Ginger. One of the men who found Ginger told Mark he and the others had seen an animal the night before. It was about 6 feet tall, walked on 2 feet, and was hairy. He also noted that it made a high-pitched sound, like a squeal. Mark was also able to speak with April Edwards, Ginger's owner. She went on to say, people came here and called it folklore, and the papers made us out to be ignorant hillbillies who didn't know any better. April then said, but what I saw was real, and I know I'm not crazy. Whatever it was, I believe it killed my dog. Now Mark doesn't believe the Goatman exists. He even went on to say, I can't believe in something until I see it for my own eyes. He feels bad saying that because he genuinely believes that the people he's talked to definitely saw something. He goes on to say, I mean anything is possible in this world, and following it up with maybe there is a half-man, half-animal creature out there. Now members of 2 prominent local families told Prince George's County historian Mark Obsasnik that the stories began as a way to keep their kids from wandering too far from home, at a time when the area was largely rural, telling them the Goatman would get them if they didn't do as they were told.